Thank you for having me here. So I'm just gonna go over my past works here, and they are related to what I actually proposed for you to have in the program. So the previous works. This is Bronx Fire Homeland. It's for the Castle View in the subway in the Bronx, and it was commissioned in 2015. So it's about 8 stainless steel power-coated aluminum that are related with the associated with it. It's a narrative associated with the everyday life of the neighborhood. And so they are like in a platform level. All the photographs were taken by me for my exploration in the neighborhood. So I was going there, taking photos, talking to the community, that particular community. So a lot of the figures are from the people that actually live and are taking the subway every day. So yeah, this is the detailed image. Also, the structures are related to the subway station itself. And this is another project that I did for the public art for Public Found. It's about 10 by 30 foot long at the entrance lobby of the public school, Richard Rogers, in the Bronx as well. I live in Queens, but I was commissioned to do these 2 projects over there. And this is aluminum, a water jet aluminum, all using water jet as well. This project was the inspiration by a poem by Frank Ward about nature, associated with nature, and also it was a little bit different because at this point we work with some students. So many of the buildings, the architecture is associated with places that they live. So we did a workshop, and many of the imagery was connected to what the children from the school created, and I'm wonderful in some ways. This is a detailed image that wraps around. I'm showing like different ways. Like this is was a work in progress for another a real estate company that I was working for that does low-income housing in Brooklyn, and they want something that quite similar to I have done before, associated with the everyday life in the neighborhood and these people that. So this is a detail, different color, but this is something that I did for a museum, a huge banner at the entrance of the museum in Basque, in Vitoria, Spain. And the name of this artwork is House is Not a Home, and it's associated with your what the material and the material, the emotional connection, what we have about the home and house. So this is one artwork that was commissioned and now is there permanently. This is the project site, so we have some of the stations that I was selected to work on, which is 101 here, 101 and the Rockaway. I particularly was very interested in doing something for the Rockaway because my work has this connection with nature and how the nature intertwined with the landscape, and so I've been doing a lot of work that relates to that and water, and so the Rockaway was like something that I wanted to. I made it specifically a work that connected to that. So this is another Rockaway that has these stations here. The diagram of these stations, which is similar to I think the Manhattan style fence. Which is like these are the images of the site as it is right now. Some of the photographs. Now you see the neighborhood. The green, the trees around, and probably everything's under still construction, but I heard that everything's moving So these are my conceptual, the proposal. So this is one imagery with the two birds. So the concepts associated with migration, urban growth, identity, those birds are migrated and migrated birds, like associated with that. So this is the idea of, because this neighborhood is highly, the diversity of this neighborhood in the area, the ethnicity. So I wanted to talk about that, the migration, and the diversity of the neighborhood. So those are two panels that are going to be looking, they're coming pairs, and they're going to be replicated in, I think, about 10 of them. So 2, 2, 2, but they will move like that together. So the rest, this is some 3D renderings that I did. So we have the different views, how they're going to look, and the type of material. I'm thinking of black, glossy. This is the second imagery. I mean, one is southbound, and the other one is leftbound and southbound, northbound, left and right. So they're different. They're like facing each other on the street. So, and together they will look like this. And this is a third, which is connected to the architecture. And as a pair, they will look together. And this is for the Rockaway, which I thought of the waves and how the sun. So together they will look like this. So there will be 4. There will be 2 in each station, and it's gonna repeat by itself along the station. I think I'm done. I think I forgot a lot of things I wanted to say. Any questions? Now I think this dialogue will be a bit more interesting. Any questions about the artwork? If you want, I can go back and answer anything that you might think that.
What height are they? The dimension?
The dimension, I think we are doing 3 by. Does anybody, Robert? 3 by 4?
I think the fence is
3 by 4.
Yeah, I think they're usually 3 feet 6 inches.
Yeah, which is a standard. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
standard.
yeah, standard Manhattan, it's like the Manhattan fences that you see, but it was this side, maybe up to here. I don't know, a little bit short, so you said.
Maybe could you go to the site plan?
The site plan, yes, just give me a second, because this is all new. Okay, this is our visuals, here.
So,
You let me know where you, here, but this is,
so that's,
this is where the artwork, the red lights
Right.
indicate the artwork location. So all this,
so it's essentially where people are waiting for the bus.
yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes, is where the people will be waiting to, for the bus to stop. That's the,
Do you want, could you, Matt can explain, that is from the Select Bus Service Program. And these are island, you want to just explain a little bit?
Hi, I'm Matt. I work in Select Bus Service for the City DOT, and these new bus islands are more comfortable places to wait for the bus than the curbside locations that the bus currently goes. And so this fencing adds an attractive element to what is already going to be a higher amenity place to wait for the bus. An additional advantage of these islands is that no longer will the bus have to cut across lanes to get to the curb, but they'll actually just be able to go right into these ADA compliant islands and have a really attractive place to wait on any of these site locations. And we're really excited to have these as part of the SBS project along this, not only for the operational efficiencies, but it just gives more dignity to those waiting for the bus on what is a very busy corridor.
I think this is sort of like an 11-mile, it's the longest Select Bus Service route.
It is the longest Select Bus Service route and pairs connections to the Rockaways that those with mobility issues cannot currently access train service in the Rockaways. And as Priscilla mentioned, Boulevard in particular, a lot of people from the Rockaways are connecting to other train services a lot further north than where they live now. They currently can't access due to non-ADA compliant stations further south.
And so the length, and sorry, this is not about your artwork.
Yes.
So the length of these and everything has to do with your pedestrian, I mean, you figured this all out from the standpoint of access. Well, I mean, I
People not
see,
jaywalking.
right, and there's obviously a logic for putting a fence here, right?
Yes.
And so you're all cool with these dimensions and
Oh, yeah,
the amount of, okay.
absolutely. They responded to the design that was developed by the Select Bus Service people, so this was a response to that.
Okay. What are those blue things? Are those
Those are
the
the
bus?
machines, right?
Are those the machines that you buy your ticket?
Yes.
Correct.
So will those be blocking your
What
artwork?
are they sitting for? How do they sit with the artwork?
So the artwork is along the red, and the machines have to be spaced in a certain way for access for bus passengers. So the actual setting of the machines might vary ever so slightly from what this design is here, but those are relative locations that have to be cited for access for passengers in a way that has flow around the machines themselves, so they don't obstruct access along what is at its core still a pedestrian piece of infrastructure.
So the artwork won't be.
We can make sure once they do it, maybe to, I don't know, because we're working with the MTA on this, as you can imagine, we're working with the MTA, not just,
Yes, yes, I understand.
they do the machines and we do, right. So we'll work with them on trying to make sure that the artwork is not blocked.
Or it would need to be a different kind of panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coordinating.
No, it's going to be in between, there's going to be regular fencing, these will be put in.
I mean, it'd be great to have an elevation of what
The
will
regular,
happen,
that'll be
where you have the
regular.
artwork and then
Okay.
the machine.
We could do that.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, for that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very flexible.
This is
I
conceptual.
know
These are conceptual.
We
really
know what's
flexible.
happening with your artwork.
Yeah. This is the conceptual stage, so we're just sort of having to get into the details of the next level.
Yes, yes. I'm very excited because this is the first time I'm doing something like this. So, oh, thank you so much. I think.
Just want to, while he's sitting there, I just wanted to say that we were very excited in the art program that Select Bus Service came to us and requested art on this route. So this is a first for us, and we're pretty excited about that. And it could be a template for other Select Bus Service routes.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me here today. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Robert Hickman. I make sculptural objects and installations. I also practice public art, both temporary and permanent work. In addition to my art practice, I'm an assistant adjunct professor at Hunter College. I hail from the South Williamsburg section of Brooklyn, where I've had a live workspace for 29 years. There are a number of things that excite me about this project. I spent a lot of time in Woodhaven taking pictures, talking to people, and visiting the sites. I felt inspired to create numerous drawings for this proposal. Certainly one of the most enjoyable aspects for me was learning about the fascinating history of Woodhaven. I'm perhaps best recognized for my MTA Skylight Commission for the 72nd Street Subway Station House on Broadway, the Broadway 123 line at Verity Square on the Upper West Side. The skylight is 100 feet long with a 16-foot girth, making the total area 1,600 square feet. The Commission won a New York City Masterwork Award for Best New Public Art from the Municipal Society of New York. There are 144 panels containing over 1 million hand-cut interlocking glass pieces. The work has been described as a delicate covering of crushed diamonds. Because the glass pieces are all faceted, the shards shimmer as one walks underneath the work. I fabricated all 144 panels in my studio. Woven into the decorative patterns are knots, which present notes from a Giuseppe Verdi score from his opera Rigoletto. I wanted to bring his music into the station, which is located at Verdi Square. This image is from a 2014 installation I did at Smack Mellon Gallery in Brooklyn. The 48-foot-long mirror mosaic was created from 7,200 hand-cut irregular mirror triangles, all from recycled material. Spectators enjoyed kaleidoscopic interactions. The complex arrangement reflected light all over the gallery. My background is in filmmaking, and I've long been interested in what can be done with light, repetition, and movement. This next image is from a recent project. While I'm mostly known for working with cut glass and mirror, a few years ago I started working with fabric, which is lighter and easier to transport. As you can see, I'm interested in geometry. The patterns were all stitched together using traditional quilting techniques. So to summarize, I work with patterns to create unique arrangements and occasionally include site-specific references within my composition. I have several design objectives for this project. The first is to show motion as a function of select bus service. This route is a major north-south corridor across Queens. The ambition is to speed things up for the commuters and to encourage people to take the bus. It's also important for the residents of Woodhaven to feel that this service is not going to slow things down in their neighborhood. It's not going to tie up traffic. In fact, it's going to make things run more smoothly. It's important to demonstrate motion to ensure traffic flow on Woodhaven Boulevard. A second priority is to reflect the rich history and cultural diversity of Woodhaven. Since the arrival of the first European settlers, the culture there has always been extremely diverse. My aim is to overlap the ever-changing culture with historical icons. I want to layer the past over top of the present. The stops will all have unique wayfinding icons that identify the location so that passengers know where they are and signal what stop to get off at. The designs need to be bold and readable from a distance, from a moving vehicle at any time of the day or night and in any weather situation. The panels need to be easily read. Finally, the fencing needs to have an overall look that creates cohesion. So Woodhaven Boulevard is a major north-south corridor across Queens. This detail shows the SDS and local stops in Woodhaven. This shows the two SBS stops that I've been chosen for, Jamaica Avenue and 91st Avenue. So this is a detail of the neighborhood showing the two SBS stops I've been chosen for at Jamaica Avenue and 91st Avenue. There are commercial and residential blocks to the west and primarily residential blocks to the east. This is a drawing showing the northbound SBS stop at 91st Avenue. This is a drawing showing the southbound SBS stop at 91st Avenue. This is a drawing showing the northbound SBS stop at Jamaica Avenue. And this is a drawing showing the SBS stops at Jamaica Avenue. This is a rendering looking north showing the bus stops at Jamaica Avenue before SBS and after. This is a rendering looking south showing the bus stops at 91st Avenue before SBS and after. So Woodhaven's history is tied to the golden age of horse racing. It gave birth to the 19th century's most famous racetracks, the Union Course and the Centerville Trotting Course, also known as the Eclipse. In fact, way back in the early days when it was just a one-lane road, the northern tip of Woodhaven Boulevard was known as Trotting Course Lane. This is a Currier and Ives lithograph from 1869 showing horses exercising along Jamaica Avenue. Hiram Woodruff's hotel was located on the north side of Jamaica Avenue at 75th Street. The Forest Park Carousel, built in 1903, is Woodhaven's most prominent icon. It received landmark designation from the New York City Landmark Preservation Commission and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Implicit in this icon is the sense of motion. In the late 19th century, after the racetracks left, single-family houses were developed to create residential neighborhoods. What I love about these streets are the clusters of repeated designs. To me, they represent archetypes and the generations of different ethnic groups who have inhabited them. Slowly, these houses began to develop unique characteristics through how they were painted or later additions such as air conditioners or satellite dishes. I'm attracted to the repeating shapes which become patterns. I'm particularly drawn to the gambrel roof structures. Woodhaven residents take good care of their homes. They're proud of where they live. I want to represent Woodhaven's cultural diversity by literally drawing from people's homes. The first thing I did was to trace several of these homes, specifically the roofs and triangle structures. I took these tracings and mirrored them to create repeating patterns. Here you see a drawing of one fence panel showing a pattern created from the ubiquitous gambrel roof structures found in so many lovely variations throughout Woodhaven. In the bottom left-hand corner is a key showing where the pattern came from. I like to imagine a child waiting for the bus who recognizes that this pattern came from their home or perhaps from a neighbor or family member's house. I think it would be exciting for someone to discover or hear about the secrets behind these patterns. Here's a second example of a pattern generated from a typical Woodhaven home. Each set of fence panels will have a unique house-generated background pattern. The open geometry will work well with the standard Manhattan fence style also being used. I will ensure that the openings are no larger than 4 1/4 inches to discourage climbing. There will be no sharp points. I want the public to feel safe and comfortable. So again, to repeat my concept, I want to blend cultural diversity, represented by people's homes, with bold historical icons that create a sense of motion and that stand out to serve a wayfinding function. So this drawing shows a series of 4 fence panels. The background pattern comes from individual house structures found in the neighborhood, repeated and mirrored. There's an overlay of carousel horses, each panel capturing a different frame of movement. This series represents the iconic Forest Park Carousel, which is located near the Jamaica Avenue SBS stop. The second drawing shows a panel appropriate for a stop close to where the Union Course was located. Union Course featured harness racing, represented by the Courier and Ives print I showed earlier. Again, we have a background pattern derived from a neighborhood house, which has been overlaid with the frames of a sprinting horse and driver. Here's a different pattern, inspired by the gambrel roof structure, overlaid with a jumping horse to create a sense of movement and fluid action. The final drawing shows 4 fence panels to create a classic Edward Muybridge galloping racehorse sequence to represent the Centerville trotting horse. The work is welcoming, beautiful, and sophisticated, and will make the public feel safe and comfortable. Cut from 1/2-inch stainless steel plate, with no additions, color, or special finishes, the panels will not require special maintenance. The material will withstand outdoor city street elements and is robust, easy to replicate, and built to last. In conclusion, I propose decorative panels with geometric patterns generated from the house designs found in Woodhaven, overlaid with sets of historical icons arranged to create motion sequences. The past is merged with the current day. The imagery ties into the culture and history of the neighborhood, harkening back to earlier times to create a sense of familiarity and community. A series of dynamic icons and patterns will contribute to the success of the Woodhaven Select Bus Service. Thanks for the opportunity to present my ideas. If there's any time, I would be happy to answer any questions. And I also brought along a couple of extra drawings, which I'll just show you. Also, just to go back to look at these drawings. There would be sets of 4 and 5. 4 and 5.
What were the extra drawings?
Other ideas?
Other ideas that you had?
Yeah, that are included in the package.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're going with the major one of the horses.
Specifically Jamaica Avenue, yeah, near the carousel and where the former Centerville racetrack was. Yeah. 91st Avenue, I'm more open.
I just wanted to say that we were the landscape architects for the 72nd Street Subway Station, and I met you 25
That's
years
right,
ago when I
you
was
look familiar.
And I think it's a brilliant work,
Oh, thank you.
so I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
So I guess certainly I'd have the same comment. I mean, I think particularly in this piece, those horses
And the fact that it's a sequence of movement, which is quite compelling, like especially when you go fast like that. And so the pay stations would really be a problem.
But there would be 8 or 9 panels per station, so there's a lot of Manhattan-style fencing. That's what I was trying to show.
I don't see any pay stations in that one.
Yeah, I think these are like,
They're floating in the middle.
Oh, maybe they're floating in the middle.
I think this was a bench. Yeah, I don't know. So,
There they are, they're floating in the middle on this one,
okay.
for some odd reason.
But they're,
But
There
definitely
they are in blue,
Work around.
yeah. Well, it's a coordination issue, I just feel like it's really important that you read the entire sequence of the panels.
What do you mean by the Manhattan style phrases? They're.
Manhattan style is like an X. You see them all over the
Oh, but
city.
I mean, there's.
It's like an X with a circle in the
So
center.
it's not all gonna be yours, it's gonna be some of them.
Same with both of them.
fence, and then
Oh.
you
Yeah,
said
they're
4 or
into-
5 panels.
They're integrated.
Oh,
So there's 8 or 9 art panels per stop.
I see.
Right, and same for hers.
Yeah. They're both integrated.
The DOT iron shop is going to be fabricating, not the inserts, but the Manhattan style fence. And they'll leave openings for the artwork into
Okay.
that.
So it'd be a regular
Oh, that's why
fence,
there's a
and
little
then these panels.
videos on them. So it's the kind of, it's what you see to stop jaywalking.
Right.
Yep,
Right,
exactly.
in, like Midtown.
Right.
Yes.
You've got it. Okay.
You don't, in either case, you don't show us the elevation of the whole thing, like.
We'll do that.
And then the other, yeah.
Actually, can you go back to the plan for 1 minute? Just, I know this is a detail, I love your art, it has nothing to do with the art actually, but I'm just noticing how closely it's really being pulled up to the crosswalk, and, you know, you just know that people, I know it's like a safety issue, but you know people are going to bunch, or, you know, there could be an pinch point, especially if there are cars, just so it's something to think about. There are a couple other plans where it seemed like it would be an impediment to a certain degree, people are crossing the street. So, what's that? Yeah, and especially if people are making a rush for the bus, which I can see. It just seems very tight to the curb cut.
Right to the.
Yeah.
Maybe eliminate one of the notches.
Yeah, I would just think about if you have any, I know that if you've got any flexibility, and since we're close at the council.
So your concern to is like that the cars, it's too close to the
It's,
crosswalk?
well, the fence
Right
is
to
too
the edge
close
of
to
the
where the curb cut, and right at the edge of the curb cut,
I think from these plans, it might have been just,
just conceptually, it seems like.
I think literally the red might have just bled a little bit from how it was
Okay,
projected on.
just, when we see the
We'll take a look at
elevations,
that.
yeah, I know it's a detail,
Pull
but
it back a
it's
little
gonna
bit,
make
yeah.
a big difference for people who are getting over
Yeah,
there.
that makes absolute sense to pull that back.
Yeah.
But it can't be a real drawing because there's no fence post.
Right.
There has to be a
No
fence
post.
post in there.
Yeah, no, but just as they're planning it.
Mhm. You know, these select bus service are, like, we think of them as stations. So they have benches, they have other amenities, so people wait, they have the leaning bench. So we'll have to locate those, and we'll work with, Nick will work with them and make sure that it all works together.
So, you said this would be done in stainless,
Half-inch stainless steel.
unfinished.
Correct.
But there'll be something, like some kind of finish on the stainless, will it be
No, it doesn't need it.
bead blast? Will it
It's
be
water jet cut stainless steel.
with like a number 4 finish, I mean, is it
Oh.
more shiny or is it more
It
dull?
would be shiny, and then you're right, it's there's a sanded finish, yeah, so it's not bright, and it's also smooth to the touch. But I mean, like, no painted finish.
Right, understood.
Yeah. You know, I wanted to point out, where's the... Yeah, the bus stops used to go on the service road, I spent a lot of time out there. Woodhaven Boulevard, it was terrifying to get across or ride my bike on. And the select bus service is going to really calm it. So that the fencing protects from the service road.
Where's the fencing?
Right here.
Setbacks,
It protects from the service
How
road.
many 18 inches?
18
18
inches off
inches
there.
or something, 18 inches?
It's hard to see from the rendering, but that's where the fencing is.
oh, okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Again, before buses were on the service road. Now they're going
Is
to
this the road where they were saying that people were getting killed crossing the street?
I think that's Queens Boulevard.
Queens Boulevard.
From Woodhaven is coming. Is it where they used to build them?
That's what they would do.
They can have some.
Queens Boulevard is just fine.
So we're trying to calm, that's what we're trying to do, get you something.
Yeah, it's got to be much better.
Woodhaven Boulevard is a Division Zero priority corridor and has a lot of similar safety issues, which a lot of the calming that these islands will provide, along with the upgraded pedestrian amenity that either end of the island, is very much helpful.
Do you know, it's so important because, you know, one of the school buses, the school bus issue there was terrifying. Terrible, we got so many complaints about it.
Well, this is fun. Any other comments from anyone? So when you come back for the preliminary, which is your final, elevations would be great, and with the, you know, with the location of the bench and
The whole plan,
the whole.
absolutely, yeah.
Also, is there more than one bench, because you used the plural previously, and the drawing showed one bench.
But there's
Some
bench
have one,
per-
I think some have two.
Probably be more than that, maybe some
I think
mini
it has
bars,
to be-
maybe a meeting bench too.
Right, so how, that together with the.
There's a shelter and a bench.
And how the vending.
Each stop is different.
Yeah, but that would be good to see.
No, within the shelters, there will be the standard size
Yeah.
seating as well, in addition to the city benches that you see.
Okay.
Excellent, thank you. The meeting is now commencing with the consent agenda. Items number 26334 to 26375. Please note the conditions of approval as recommended by the various committees and recusals. Staff has noted Commissioner Aaron's recusal from item 26370, Commissioner Willis Thomas' recusal from 26340. Any other recusals not noted? No, for the record, there are no further recusals. And for the record, no members of the public who signed up to testify on the consent items. Any of you in the back there care to testify? Okay. No, let the record show no one wishes to testify. Will someone make a motion to approve the consent agenda? A second?
Second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. We have unanimous approval. So now we will move on to item 26376 that has a recommendation for approval by a committee, and no members of the public are here to testify. Someone make a motion to approve this project. Second? All in favor? Please raise your hand. Thank you. All right, we have unanimous approval on item 26376. So the meeting is now adjourned.